guys, welcome to Everyday Family Adventure. I'm Trent.
And I'm Camden.
And today we're bringing you a little bit more about our trip in New York. But first, it's this guy's birthday! And one of the things that he wanted to do for his birthday, tell him, what did you want to do for your birthday?
Go to CC's Pizza like I always do with my dad.
So apparently this is a tradition. CC's Pizza is one of his favorite pizza places, and they've kind of stopped. Like there are a lot of them going out of business. At least the one in Battle Creek went out of business.
I'm sad about that.
I know, right?
I'm sad.
Anyways, there's one here in Stanton, and we're so excited about that. And so yeah, we've got a lot to tell you guys. So let's get right to it. New York. Where did we park? That's the question everybody wanted to know. Like, everybody wanted to help and ask and say, so are you bringing the rig into New York City? Because if you are, I need to help you with a couple things. And so kind of took that as a little bit of a sign to say maybe we should not bring the rig into the city. Now understand, I really wanted to, because that's kind of the fun of it, right? If I could make like a really cool shot and just, that would be so cool. But then there's the family side of things, that's kind of just a lot of nervousness going on. Now, it's not that you can't bring a motorhome into New York City. There are rules about propane tanks going under the tunnels, how big you can be, where you can go. And that really comes down to the reasons why we didn't bring our rig into New York City, at least this time. Now, I wanted to help you guys out to make some decisions as you're thinking about taking your family out to New York City and places that you can stay. Because if you have a smaller rig than ours, if you've got like a Class C, or you've got a tow behind, something that's smaller, you probably could take it in there. But then the question is, where are you going to park it? Because literally, it's really busy down there. It's a lot of fun, but the question is not like where can you park down there? The question would really be, why do you want to bring it down there? Because there is no place to park it. Now let me give you some suggestions of where you could park if you're heading towards the city, and I'll tell you about some of the places that we parked ours when we were in the city. First up, if you're taking your RV to New York City, let me recommend that you get an RV park somewhere out of the city. I did find one RV park. It's called Liberty Harbor RV, and it's in Jersey City, right across. It's so close. It's kind of pricey, but man, if you really want to spend some time in New York City, I'd say that's pretty worth it. A lot cheaper than a lot of hotels. Worth considering. I'd love to take my family there sometime too, but considering our trip, we didn't do that this time. We stayed at 3 different places while we were in the New York City area, and let me point those out to you here. At this spot over here, we stayed at a friend's place on Lake Hopatcong, out on the outskirts of the city, so it took about an hour and 15 minutes to get to Manhattan that day, and that was the day that we took to Staten Island, and we took the ferry with Jeff and Kathy Wildrick. That was an awesome location for us because that was right down the street from where Jeff and Kathy lived, and so that was a blessing to be able to spend some time with them. And it was still fairly close to all these other cool things in the city, like we went to the diner with them.
What is this place we're at, Truman?
It's this.
It's cold. Is it cold out?
Yeah, and it's raining.
What state are we in right now?
Kentucky? I don't know.
Kentucky? No, we're in New Jersey.
Mommy, there's a firefighter from Virginia here.
Oh, cool.
Because it says firefighter.
Awesome. Let's get out of the rain. Yeah?
Graham, tell Mommy where we are.
At the dinosaur!
At the dinosaur.
The dinosaur.
It's actually a diner. A diner store?
I'm guessing that that's where that came
The
from, the
diner
diner
store?
store. Sounds like dinosaur.
The diner store.
Hey, careful.
Dinosaur!
Don't lose Fluffy. He's calling that Fluffy, the ball on the top of his head.
Oh, we don't
He
want
said
to.
he's sad because Fluffy's going to get wet.
Oh no, don't let Fluffy get wet.
Well, but at least it's keeping his head from getting wet.
This place is pretty cool.
That is cool. Thanks, Camden.
So this place is pretty cool.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
Classic diner.
Actually, I don't want to play.
But I think it's Greek. Like I'm pretty sure that the ownership is Greek here. You gotta see their desserts. Giant cookie. You can see how big that is. It's huge. Look at those. And look at these pies and cakes. They're so massive.
And that brings me to my next point. A lot of times when you're thinking of RVing, a lot of people who want to take that vacation time, they want to go see cities they haven't seen before. Most of us don't think that the big cities are not as accommodating for RVs. You really kind of need to stay outside, and this is what Siobhán and I always say. I'm a little bit of a Star Wars fan, but we always say this. Our RV is like the Death Star, and our minivan is like the Millennium Falcon that gets us into places. And you got to think that way. You got to think that when you're going into a big city, it's going to be tough getting around inside that city with your RV. So that brings me to my next point, getting creative with where you can stay. Maybe there's some other alternatives for you, especially like our family. We found that there were some alternatives that we could look into that might be worthwhile for us, so we wouldn't have to stay so far out of the city just to be at an RV park. If you've got a big diesel tank, if you've got propane heat, like at this time of the year in the winter, we actually boondocked closer into the town. Now, when we stayed at this first stop, we were actually plugged in because of our friend that was super amazing, and we're so thankful to him for doing that for us. But the next two stops were at churches. The first church we stayed at was right on the Hudson River in Tompkins Cove. Super beautiful location, beautiful view, awesome days that we spent there. But we didn't stay too long because we were completely boondocking. Then the next stop we went to was another church just a little farther south in New City, New York. Come on, Riggs. Hey guys, it is almost Thanksgiving and we have pulled into our final stop for this season. This is so exciting. And here's the awesome thing. Today, in this parking lot here, we're in New City, New York. It started snowing this morning and the kids are so excited. So Graham and Wrigley are Graham and Wrigley are finding snowflakes. You gotta catch them with your tongue, guys. Okay, Graham, look. You gotta catch it with your tongue. Stick your tongue out. Catch the snowflakes. I love this time of year. You know, just because you're RVing, yes, you go south for the winter, but I mean, come on, you still got to enjoy the seasons, and this is one of the most beautiful times of the year. Hey, did you finish your chores?
Huh?
Did you finish?
Cleaned up the table, cleaned up the floor.
Okay, good job.
No, big one.
And this brings me to my thought that says, when you're thinking of where you're going to stay on your trip to a big city, think about the fact that you're actually not spending much time in your RV. You're probably spending all your time out in the big cities. You don't need to be plugged in necessarily if you can get away with boondocking, because you're just kind of parking your home for that whole time. And that's kind of the way we thought of it. We're not using as much of the resources. We're getting out there and we're exploring and we're having an adventure, which is what a lot of people want to do when they're traveling on vacation. So keeping things on the cheap, you might be able to just give a few random calls to some churches. Google Earth. This is what Siobhán and I do. Sometimes when we don't know anybody in town, we will Google Earth to find a church with a big parking lot, and we'll just make a phone call to the receptionist. Ask the question. Obviously, we usually give some days ahead of time for this on a work day, and we say, hey, here's who we are. We're coming into town. Would you mind if we just parked in your parking lot, kind of tucked away? Most of the time, churches are very open to that. There are Walmarts you could stay at. If you haven't used the All Stays app, you could check that out. But also, to be honest, most times when you're in a big city, all those Walmarts, those Cabela's, those Camping Worlds, there's very few of them, and most of them won't let you park at them. You know, the Cracker Barrels that we've stayed at. We've stayed at casinos. These are all places that you can boondock at, but when you're in a big city like the size of New York, those are a lot harder to come by, and so a church is a good option and worth thinking about trying. So that's where we parked while we were in the New York area. Everybody asked that question. No, we did not take the RV into New York City. Not that I wouldn't, but for this time we didn't. So if you know of a place where you can take it, I'd love to know. Also, if you know of other really great places that I don't know about, that Siobhán and I don't know about, of where you can park your RV that's totally legal, then let us know. We love to hear ideas like that. I mean, these are really great things. I want to finish off today with our Believer Bump. Believer Bump today is from Steph Tully. Said, just listen to your How Deep song. Wow. Thanks. We love music. This is what we do. If you don't know what we do, that is our main thing. And we love sharing our music with everybody across the world. And this is part of the journey for us. It's a lot of fun. And we did have tons of fun in New York. Tune in tomorrow, guys, as we talk about some other really cool things we did in the city. We're going to take you guys back into the city and show you some of the amazing trips that we took, especially out on the water. And we got some great footage. So awesome. The kids loved it so much. What an amazing memory. So I hope that helped you with all the places that we parked, and just so you can know how we get around and where we stay. So thank you guys so much for all your support and all the ways that you bless us. And any way that we can help you out, we want to try our best to help you make awesome family decisions in your RV travels. So remember, guys, we can make the world better. I believe we can. Bye.